thank you for joining me this morning. We're expecting, I think, over 100 people on this, so we're going to give it just a few seconds for people to join. You will want to have pen and paper for today's class, so please make sure that you have that handy. And then as we go through this today, this is going to be the first part of a 6-part series on basically listing mastery. Today being the first part, which is how do you make that transition from buyer's agent, or being more specifically working with buyers, to becoming a listing specialist. So for most people that I work with, they're about 70% buyers, 30% listings. Even in our office, we were looking at some of the numbers and we were really surprised by the discrepancy of how many people were listing heavy versus buyer heavy. And it's very few people are really focusing on listings and taking listings at an extremely high level. So we want to fix that. We want to make sure that we know statistically the top agents in the country and the top agents in every market are listing based. And so we're going to go through some of those strategies. So Anna, as we go to jump in, can you kind of give everyone some guidelines and how to make this the best class ever?
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad you guys were able to join us. Just a couple of quick notes. Just remember, keep yourself on mute until you're ready to engage in the conversation. And then you can either use the chat box or you can just simply pop off mute and jump into the conversation. We will be using the chat box throughout the presentation. If there are links or downloads that we want you to have as Brendan kind of goes through this really great content, be sure to use that. Anything I do put in the chat box, I will put in a wrap-up email within 24 hours of this presentation, so you'll have it in your email as well, along with a recording of this. And certainly reach out to me if you have any questions throughout the presentation. I'm here every step of the way. Other than that, Brendan, take it away.
Thank you so much. All right. So as we journey into the world of transitioning from buyers to sellers, one of the main things that we're going to focus on is making sure you have a plan to do it, right? We need to have a very systemized plan, and we need to make sure that you know every part of the process so you can make that. It's not easy. You just don't wake up going, you know what, today I'm just going to start working solely with listings and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be super easy. So that's what we're going to dive in. Just getting my slide here to work. Okay. All right. So let's jump in. Take a look here. Okay, perfect. So transitioning from buyers to sellers, right now we have to understand why we don't do it or why we think we're not doing it to make sure we're crystal clear on our limited beliefs. So when we look at our current limitations, we don't normally take listings. Well, actually, Anna's looking at me. You know what I forgot to do? And I apologize. I was so excited to talk about listings, and it is my favorite subject on earth. I forgot to introduce myself. So for those new that are joining us, I am Brendan Bartic with Brendan Bartic Real Estate Coaching, where our mission is to train the most elite real estate agents and coaches on earth. Just a little bit about me and why you should hopefully listen to me, because that's important. So I started out in real estate as an assistant. I've been a buyer's agent. I've been an agent on a team. I went as an agent on my own, started my own real estate team. I've been a brokerage owner. I am a brokerage owner. And so I've taken, I've probably been on about 2,500 plus listing appointments in my career, sold over $1 billion in residential real estate. I have a passion for listings. And so that's why this 6-week course or this 6-week webinar series, I hope will bring a lot of value to all of you. So hopefully, Anna, that was good. I apologize. That is who I am. So first of all, let's talk about why we're afraid of listings and why we don't focus on them. Okay. And normally what it comes down to is a lack of confidence. We don't have our system down. We're scared. We're new to the industry, or we've been in the industry a long time, but we went on a couple listing appointments and we didn't take them, or we got beat by another agent, or we went and we took a listing and it didn't sell, or the seller was mean to you, or all of these different things. So that confidence becomes a big factor for us, right? The inexperience, you go, look, I've barely even sold 10 real estate deals in my life. Why on earth would I want to go and do this when I don't know what I'm talking about? I've never been to that neighborhood. I've never even sold a house. I don't even know where to take the photography. So that inexperience is one of those limited beliefs. Fear of pricing. We don't know how to accurately price property, and we're scared to have a conversation. Maybe scared is not the right word. We're nervous about having a difficult conversation with the client, with our seller, to make sure that we can obviously sell the property at a price that's going, or list the property at a price that's going to cause it to sell instead of just sitting there. All right. So fear of pricing becomes very problematic. We don't want to get rejected, right? There's the fear of rejection. When we work with buyers, they're like, oh, I love you so much. You found my dream home, Brendan. You're the best, right? When you go and work with sellers, for some people, they feel like it's a different ball game because they might say no. They could say no to you, and they could say no to how much your commission is. They could say no to how long you want to list the property for. They could say no to your marketing plan. There's a lot of fear of being rejected, right? And then you don't want the conflict or the confrontation. One of the biggest things that I work with agents on is the ever dreaded price adjustment conversation. Well, Brendan, I got to call the seller today and they don't know why the house isn't selling. We all know why the house isn't selling, because the price isn't accurate for where it needs to be in today's market. So we have a massive fear about having that conversation. And we're going to cover all of these things, right? So fear of conflict or confrontation, all right? And then bigger than probably all of those is we just don't have a process. We don't have a process that we feel safe and comfortable with. And we don't have a presentation that we know when we go in there, we're going to knock this thing out of the park, right? We don't feel that we have a strong enough value proposition for the seller to just go, sounds good, Brendan, where do I sign? Right? Perfect. Okay. Yeah. All right. Excellent. That's all of the things that we have to get very strong at to make sure that we're going to be able to be a successful listing specialist. Okay. So looking at those items, right? What we know is that we have some challenges when we have a buyer-focused business, okay? There's some major challenges when we have a buyer-focused business. And when we're building this, right, one of the challenges are we know that we need to have leads in order to have deals. I think we would all agree. We need to have leads in order to have deals. Second to that, we need to have leverage, use of our time. As independent business owners, the only thing that we can control is our time. And some of you are going, I'm not a business owner, I'm a realtor. You are a business owner. So when you build a business on buyers, if you look at this graphic, then it's very difficult to produce more leads from a specific buyer. You might get a referral, you might get a testimonial or a Zillow review, but it's very difficult to do that. And it's very difficult to leverage a buyer, meaning that you're going to either have better use of time or produce more business from that person. So in thinking about that, I want to be very, very clear on this. So we've studied this across the country. On average, it takes 100 hours to work with a buyer versus 15 hours with a listing or a seller. Let me say that again. On average, it takes 100 hours to work with one buyer versus 15 hours working with a seller or a listing. I'm no mathematician, but that's a big discrepancy in use of time. Okay? A massive discrepancy in use of time. So why do we do it? Why do we do it? Well, because of those things that we talked about earlier. We don't have the right kind of mindset going into this. And therefore, when we hear about business and we go, oh, you want to go show a bunch of houses, you hear that little bell ring and you go off running and you feel like you're working, right? It makes you feel like you're doing the job, right? Well, Brendan, isn't my job to show people their dream home? Isn't my job to make this reality come true for them? Yes, but for a small percentage of highly, highly qualified buyers. I'm not on here to tell you not to work with buyers. I'm telling you that the ratio of what you're probably doing buyers versus sellers right now is probably not where it needs to be. And that ratio, needs to really be at the very least 60% listings, 40% buyers. At the absolute least, 60% listings, 40% buyers. All right. If you analyze, and I would ask several of you on this call, what's your percentage this year? So take a second to think about that. If you're like, hey, I've not even sold a house yet, well, then you're in the right place. You're starting off on the right track. Okay. This is the best place to be. So that this is where to go. Right. But look and analyze your business. What is percentage on that? Okay.
If I was at 50-50, is it very difficult to go to 60-40? That doesn't sound too far off, Brendan.
Yeah, no. Well, looking at it, Chuck, from the information that we've studied, there's very few agents that are at 50-50. I'm talking probably less than 10% of all agents are at even 50-50. The average agent is 80% buyers, 20%. Well, not the average. The average agent in our world, and we have a very highly producing office, is 80% buyers, 20% listings. The national average is somewhere like 90-10. Yeah. So to answer 50-50, yes. Is it a jump from 50-50 to 60-40? No. It's a jump from 80-20 to 50-50. Okay. All right.
I imagine that also has to do with how we move into relationships with buyers, right? It's very informal, which is another challenge, right? Whereas on the listing side, we come in to get an agreement signed. It's an immediate tone setting activity. Whereas with buyers, we're willing to be less formal. And I think this also has a huge impact on that percentage, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's a matter of comfort. So we're gonna talk about that a lot, where it's a matter of comfort. More so, what I want you to leave with today, and my passion for this class, is to make sure that you leave today with a crystal clear plan on making this transition. Now, how fast you want to make this transition will depend upon you, but there will be a breakthrough where you go, I've got to at least start making the progress to make this transition. So when we look at that, and we know building this business on buyers, those little arrows just shows you that it's going to fall over. You can't have a substantial business built on buyers. It's not possible. It's just very tough. Well, you go, but Brendan, I've got a friend, John, he's amazing. And he does like 30 buyer deals a year. Yes. And I'm not saying that is not possible, but I can tell you that John is working 5 times more than he has to. So can you do it? Yes, of course you can do it. Does it make logical sense? No, not in the slightest. All right. So the power of listings, time, money, marketing, when we're looking at this, right, it gives us a better foundation where it should look more like this: leads, leverage, and listings. Listings are at the top of this amazing pyramid because we know without listings, the other two are very difficult to produce at any time. All right. So when you usually get into business, the first thing you're going, and I hear this with all agents every day, Brendan, I need more leads. Leads, leads, leads. Give me the leads, give me the leads, give me the leads. And what usually happens is they end up taking a ton of buyer leads. And there's nothing wrong with that because, again, you're trying to really just set up your business. But over time, if you keep taking those buyer leads, it's very difficult to focus on building a listing-based business because there's not enough hours in the day. And then what happens is you lose your sense of leverage because you don't have any possible way of leveraging the buyers that you're working with to create more leads, to give you more listings, to give you more time to create more leverage. So if there was, and I know some of you have some awesome tattoos out there, if there's any tattoo that you could get on your body right now, it would be this diagram on your forearm. And every time you go to work with a buyer, just smack yourself in the head and go, this is what I need to be doing. Okay? Get the tattoo, post it on our social media. I would love to see it. Okay? And again, I will do a $500 bonus to anyone that does it. That's just as a side bet because I'm just curious about seeing it. All right? So that's how important it is. That's how important it is. Okay. So let's talk about what does it take to transition? How do I make this? How do I bridge from one side to the other? Or how do I start out on the right situation? So let's talk about systems. Okay. So to write down a couple of things here, to be able to have the right systems, we're going to need a couple of things. We're going to, first of all, we're going to need data. If you want to transition from from buyers to sellers, you have to become very conscious of, I need to be in the data harvesting game. And people are like, okay, Snowden, like, what are you talking about? Yes, just like that, you need to be harvesting data. Data's everything. We live in a data-based culture right now. And what I mean by that data is you need information on people that would have the highest likelihood of selling. And there's a couple of different categories that we can focus on. So biggest thing, you want to make the transition, start buying data. You've got to data farm, buy data. All right. I'm going to give you some examples of where to find said data. All right. If you're jumping into this game and you're looking at, okay, if I'm needing to have the right systems, then I really need to focus on the right sources that I'm going to get this business from. Okay. So as far as systems go, you're going to need either the Red X. Okay. It's a great company that produces a lot of this data for you. Mojo. So Mojo sells, produces a lot of this data for you. Vulcan 7, which I know sounds terrifying and like some science fiction thing, but it's a very powerful system. Vulcan 7, right? Vulcan 7, yeah. So Vulcan 7, they all pretty much do a similar job. Now, there's some other companies out there. Land Voice is a big company for sell by owner data. You can go and kind of see. At one point, I had almost every single one of them because I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing a single piece of data, right? So I was cross-threading them. If you're in an office or you have some buddies, have your buddy or buddiette get one system, you get the other, and double check the data, right? Be smart on how you're utilizing it, okay? Then you have the Kohl's directory. The Kohl's directory is another data-driven point, right? In our office, we offer it free to all of our agents, but you can buy it. You can join up with some other people to be able to provide it. The Kohl's directory is basically every single person that is in a neighborhood. You can source and find any phone number for them that it can find. I'm not saying it finds every single one. It'll find email addresses, cell phone numbers. It's powerful. We need to be able to source data to be able to have success in this, okay? Now, also, you're going to do this at a high level. You're going to have systems. You need a dialer, D-I-A-L-E-R, a dialer. That was like, maybe, I don't even know how to spell that, but whew, got that, right? Because you need to be able to execute a strategy of talking to as many possible sellers through the course of the day as possible. You can't do that by just picking up the phone. You can, it's going to be a lot harder. So a dialer allows you to call 3 phone numbers at once, leave pre-recorded messages. It identifies a number of other things that it can make sure that you're being more efficient in your lead generation. Okay. And we teach a whole class on this. We have a video on it. We'll talk more about it, but you need a dialer. Okay. Then you're going to need a CRM. You're going to need a way to capture all of this data, put it into one specific location, and then utilize that to have conversations. You could spend, I see people that'll sit there and make 500 phone calls a day, and then they're putting the people that they've talked to on an Excel spreadsheet. Cool. Welcome to 1997, right? That's awesome. Enjoy that, because I don't know how you're going to sort through it. It's impossible. So you need to have the leverage. Now you're going, Brendan, I need to spend money on a dialer. I need to spend money on the CRM. I need to spend money. No, not out of the gate. Now, if you want to do this on the cheap and you want to do it out of the earliest possible ways, if you wanted to avoid this and you don't have the money or can't share the cost with someone else, again, a lot of this you can structure by sharing it. If a dialer is $150 a month and you got 4 people to come in on it, it's a lot easier to pay for that. And maybe you don't go to, Golden Corral once a month like you do, and you pay for your dialer, right? You save that money and you hit the dialer instead. If you go to Golden Corral, that's gross. First of all, I drove by one the other day and I was like, how is that place still in business? But whatever, to each your own. So, think about what is the sacrifice I'm going to make to have the systems that I need. And that makes sense. Okay. So we need that. We also are going to need, at the highest level, as we start setting these things up, direct mail. All right. We're going to need to get some pieces of mail into the hands of people that have interest in selling on a regular basis, so I stand out versus the other 10 people that just made the phone call. All right. We're going to need to leverage social media. We're going to need to make sure that when I call somebody, I have a way of finding them on social media to connect with them. So over time, I can build a relationship with them, which then builds trust. Okay. Now, if you're on, social doing all kind of crazy stuff, then do not do this, right? That will not build the trust. Don't do that. Right. Then I need to have a way to be able to get really good at texting people. We have more response from text on all of our campaigns than any other form of communication right now. If you are not leveraging text, welcome back to 1997. Okay. Pull out your VCR. We're at the same level. Text is everything. Okay. Email, you need to have email campaigns. You need to have an email signature that when I see it, represents you as a top producing agent or makes you look like you know what you're doing. So you and Mr. Scruffy at the park does not make me entrust selling my house with you at the highest level, right? It doesn't. So you don't have to put that you're the number one agent or anything else like this. It just has to be clean, precise, and you have to look like you actually have a job. Okay? That's probably the bare minimum. That's what we're looking for. All right. Number 7 on that, you need market reports. You need to be able to leverage market reports on a regular basis to send to clients to build trust and to show you as a market expert. Here's some pro tips. Get with your lender. They'll probably pay for it. If you don't have a lender, go tell a lender that you're really amazing, that you're going to sell a lot of houses. They'll pay for it. If you're a lender on here, I'm sorry, you're going to pay for it. Okay. So leverage other affiliated partners. You can use HomeBot. You can use Altos Research. We use Altos Market Reports every single day for our business, and they're extremely effective. And then lastly, door knocking. Okay. I know it's COVID. I understand. I get that. I understand the limitations possibly right now. There are agents in your market still today that are door knocking every single day. They're coming hazmat suited up. They're ready to rock and roll, but they're doing what others won't to have what others want. Because they know that if they can get to the door, and unlike the other 50 people that are calling, and they're going to go to that door that there wasn't a phone number for that day, They're going to build the relationship with that client. Okay. And I'm going to talk about that here in a second. So any questions on systems? Okay. Those are just a brief overview. And over this 6-part series, we're going to dive deep into a lot of these to show you not only what they look like, but how to use them. Excellent. All right. So we're good there. All right. So let's go back into this beautifully prepared PowerPoint. Okay. So the next is a schedule. All right. So schedule is absolutely massive. This is where I see agents die. This is where we know 87% of all agents fail, right? So think about that. 87% of all agents fail. You've heard the stats and you go, oh, it's not going to be me, until it's you. Or maybe you're not even failing, but you're just living okay, right? It all comes down to and lives and dies in your schedule. So Anna, as far as schedule goes, right? If I'm the problem that I hear all the time, Anna, is I don't have enough time in the day. What do we do different?
Well, I think 2 primary drivers to ensuring more time in your schedule is, number one, get up earlier. And I know, I am a proponent of a late sleeper. I sleep so good that it's really hard to make that adjustment. But if you're joining us on the Facebook group, we're doing a morning mastery challenge right now. And it is powerful to see what that extra hour every single day allows you to do. So I would say, I would encourage you to adjust your routine, even if it is by 15 minutes incrementally over the month, to see how much more opportunity you have. And then couple that with time blocking. And you're not going to be perfect at it, but ultimately what time blocking is setting aside time for activities that make you money, that you know are priorities in your day, that if you choose not to do them, you are choosing not to achieve your goals, right? And that's as simply as I can put it. Did I miss anything?
No, that was beautifully said. Yeah, so it all starts with, if you need more time, the trick of getting more time is going to bed earlier. And I know this sounds stupid. You're like, well, my parents told me to do that. Once I left home, I never went to bed early because screw that, I'm an adult, right? Well, cool, good for you. Enjoy your life. But going to bed early, nothing in the world of business is happening, except for your crazy buyers, after 9 o'clock. Nothing in your world is happening except for your crazy buyers after 9 o'clock at night. So if you can get into that habit, then the morning gives you all this time to do all these things I'm going to tell you that are going to help enhance this business. Okay. So every day we start with morning mastery. Now, whether that's 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m., 5:30 a.m., if you're waking up probably later than 6 a.m. and starting your day, you're not going to be able to compete at this level. I'm just telling you now. So you're going to have to draw the line in the sand where you say, look, every excuse is going to be there. Well, my kids, this, my grandma, I have to stay up and do this. No, it's all bull. It's all bull. You can do this. Okay. Number 2 is you start every single day at the same time, every single day, meaning that your work schedule is the same every day. That time that we've found from all of the agents across the country that are having massive success is 7:30 a.m. 7:30 a.m. So Anna will post our top producer schedule in the chat box for you, and the morning mastery schedule in the chat box for you. So feel free to download both of those, pin them to your wall, tattoo them on your forearm, and make sure that you're sticking to it, because the schedule is everything. I could teach you how to be the greatest listing agent on earth. If you sleep in until 9 o'clock, you're going to fail. Your skills won't matter. Schedule will trump skills every single day. And routine will trump everything. Because once you're into a nice, comfortable routine, momentum happens. All right? So 7:30, she'll put the schedule in there. That's one of the things. You're going to have role play and review your business goals every morning at 7:30 till 7:45. 7:45, we're going to start hitting listing sources. Now, when I talk about listing sources, here's what I want you to do. I want you to attack the listing sources that are going to have the highest likelihood of listing and selling. Okay. Now, what we normally do is we flip that upside down because we go, the ones that have the highest likelihood are usually in our mindsets, the ones that are going to be the tougher to get. So what we do is we flip that around and we go, I'm going to call random people out of the phone book and have nice conversations. And maybe I'll get a listing in someday. All right. That's the harder part about doing this. Or I'm going to spend 3 hours on Facebook today posting about how great I am and how much coffee I drink. Maybe that'll get me a listing. It's unfortunately not. All right. So we're going to start out and I'm going to give you exactly that morning regimen to make this transition. All right. It starts with calling expireds. We know this. Everybody tells you this. The reason is they've already decided to sell. They've already decided to use an agent and pay a commission. It just didn't happen to work out with their previous agent. That's the only thing that happened there. Okay. So when I wake up, you're going to have your Vulcan 7, your Red X, your Mojo. It's ready to go. It sources all this data for you. You're going to hit the phone. You're going to call them. You don't have to do this. I'm just telling you. Now, I'm going to go down through the regimen. You can skip some of these. You can do whatever. It's your decision on what level of game you want to play at. All right. Number 2 is going to be hitting the for sale by owners. Okay. So expireds, for sale by owners. And I'll go back to one caveat on expireds. It's new expireds and then all the old expireds. So the secret of calling expireds is it's not the first one. It's being there after the 5th to 7th response. Okay. Or excuse me, 5th to 15th response. So when we're looking at that, and I'm going to try to make this work. And if it does, it's going to be really cool. If it doesn't, here we go. So when we're looking at that on my sweet board here, so if we're looking at, well, of course it's not here now. If we're looking at trying to draw this graph, oh, I see what happened. Give me 1 second. It's going to be really cool. You've been waiting your whole time to see this. See if this works. All right, it's not working. All right, well, I was going to show you a really cool thing, but it didn't work. So that's fine. So in your mind, you're gonna think about this graph. Okay, when you're drawing this graph, you've got the straight line kind of across your paper. Then you're going to draw a big hump like this, and then it's going to come down and go straight. All right. What we're looking at is in that first little speck there, we've got the first 4 people are going to, or the first time that we try to contact anybody for the first 4 times is what this is going to look like. So it looks like this. That is an amazing drawing. All right. This is called 1, 2, 3, 4. This is called 5 through 15. And then after that, it drops off. This is amazing art. Enjoy. It drops off dramatically to anyone that'll ever respond to you again. So what we know is most agents will do this call, this call. They'll never do this call, and they certainly aren't doing this call. And this is where all the money lives. That, my friends, is a piece of art, right?
Beautiful.
So, thank you. Yes. So that's the difference when we're talking about old expireds, is old expireds live in that 5 to 15 call. For sell by owners live in the 5th to 15th call. So if you can be that agent that just knows that and lives it and goes, if I live in that number 5 to 15, I'm going to have massive success. You'll beat everyone else, guaranteed. But to do that, you have to have a data system that's organizing this for you. That's where, again, I built my entire business off of the Red X. I felt the platform was the best. I felt the way that it structured things were the best. The way it updated me was the best. But if you like these other ones, use them. Mojo is extremely good. Vulcan 7's awesome. All of that's fine. But you need help on organizing it so you can make those calls. Then from there, you're going to go to rent by owners. Rent by owners is going to be your next one. Rent by owner, meaning landlords that own properties that here locally that are looking for a tenant, and you're going to convince them to sell instead of renting it. You have absentee owners, people that live out of state. that have properties here that may have a renter in them now, that you're going to tell them when they're ready to have the renter move out that it makes sense for them to sell with you. Okay. Then you've got the NED list, notice of elective demand, pre-foreclosures. That'd be my next call of my regiment every single morning as I'm building my listing empire. Then I'm going to go to just solds. So a just sold, and so next session we go through and I give you my top 20 listing sources and how to maximize them. That's next week or 2 weeks from now. We'll send out the dates. Then, so just sold. You or your office just sold a property in the neighborhood and you're promoting it through the Kohl's directory or whatever phone service you have to do a neighborhood search. So Anna, I'm calling up Anna. Here's what a just sold sounds like. So, hey, Anna, it's, ring, ring.
Hello?
Yeah, hi, I was looking for Anna.
Yeah, this is she.
Oh, hey, Anna, it's Brendan Bartic at XYZ Real Estate. Hey, I was just calling. I just sold, or my office just sold the property at 123 Elm Street. It was amazing. We had multiple buyers. It sold in less than 24 hours. Anna, just real quick, I actually am working with another client right now that missed out on that opportunity. She's a nurse. She just moved to the area, single mom, really trying to find her a house. Unfortunately, she missed out on that one. So I was calling all the neighbors to see if you or anyone you know might be interested in selling.
Well, thanks for giving me a call, Brendan. I don't think we're probably going to move in the next 6 months, but I wish you all the best.
Oh my gosh, 6 months. That's exciting. So what's the reason for the move in 6 months?
Our house is getting too small. Now with COVID, it's really small. So we're looking to move in the next 6 months or so.
Wow. Okay. And then I could go through that entire script with her. Okay. Think about how powerful. If you just made that call 500 times a week, do you think you'd find some sellers? Absolutely. Why don't you do it? Because making 500 calls a week sucks. It sucks hard. There's nothing glorious about it. It's like getting punched in the face 500 times. But it's literally making a phone call to make 500 grand a year or $1 million. It's not that bad. It's not like a punch in the face. I'm kidding. But we think it is in our minds. So just solds. We got just listeds. It's very similar. We just listed this amazing home and we know we're going to have multiple offers. So I was calling the neighbors to see if you had any interest in selling. Open house. I'm having this amazing open house this weekend. I'd love for you to come by and judge our property. I'd love to know your feedback on what you feel this property will sell at. So open house calls are fun because people love judging other people. If you tie the script in correctly, they will come to your open house just to be a critic. You're going to love it, okay? Then you've got center of influence. So after you've called everyone else on the planet that might be interested in doing something, you're going to call the people that know you and find out their status. So, hey, how's it going, Anna? Great, blah, 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 blah. And by the way, Anna, if you were to move, where would you go next? Blah, 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 blah. By the way, if you were to move, where would you go next? Susie, you know what? It's so great talking to you guys, the kids. Oh my God, I saw the pictures. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Love it, love it, love it. You know what, Susie? I have a lot of buyers in your neighborhood right now that are going crazy. If you and John were to move, where would you go next? Okay. And then lastly at that list, past clients, people that have already done business with you. All right. So last pro tip on this, you have to end every day preparing for the next day. Where I see agents fail is they come into the office at 7:30 and then it takes them an hour to find their freaking computer. Like it blows my mind. They're like, oh, I don't know. I got to go do 55 different things and right? You need to walk in there. So before you leave your office that day or your workstation or the cubbyhole that you're at right now or your kitchen table, you've got to have a plan for the next day. So all you have to do is wake up, do morning mastery, feel ready to rock and roll, hit that table or that phone or that whatever stand up running, and then you're executing a strategy for the day. All right. And then lastly, no appointments ever scheduled before 12 o'clock ever. Ever. No listing appointments, no buyer appointments, no dentist appointments, no closings, no inspections, no nothing before 12 noon every day. You can't build a listing business if you don't have the time to lead gen in the morning and then put all of that lead gen into a system and nurture it. It's impossible. But Brendan, no. But no. All right. I've heard every excuse. But Brendan, but the inspector could only be there at 10. Get a different inspector. But Brendan, the closing both my buyers and sellers had to be there at 10 o'clock for the closing. No, they didn't. That's your limited belief. Don't go to the closing. But Brendan, I have to go to closings. No, you don't. These are all things that top agents do, that they break through the limited beliefs on what you were told by some person that does 5 deals a year that taught you real estate school, right? Some broker that taught you some way that isn't what a top producer was, more than likely doesn't know what they're talking about. Okay. All right. Woo! I get excited.
I know, that was awesome. So before we move on too far, just can we go back to that expired conversation from the 5th to the 15th call you're making, right? Establishing that relationship. Can you just clarify for folks?
What do you mean?
So is it the 5th call that you make, or is it the 5th call that any agent makes where we're going to start to really see that uptick in prosperity of expires?
No, it's going to be you, right? We know that the averages of agents, I can tell you from owning a real estate team, 90% of my agents will stop after the second attempt. 95 of them will stop after the third or fourth, and 1% will ever make 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're playing an odds game. It literally is gambling on the fact that others are going to stop, and they will every single time. And that's where you hear these stories where you'll hear the seller all the time go, you know what? It wasn't because of any other reason. It's just because you called me every week. That would be the music to my ears all the time. They'd be like, you just wouldn't stop trying to contact me. That's the only reason you're sitting here. Great, sign here. Cool, excellent. And I was totally fine with that. All right.
And how many days do you suggest working this top producer schedule? Is it 5, 6, 7? How do you structure?
No, it's well said. So it's 5 days a week. But if it was me, and another pro tip, my 5 days would be Wednesday through Sunday. Let me say that again. I would work Wednesday through Sunday. Saturday and Sunday, you're going to, again, have a much higher level of, number one, talking to people. Number two, talking to them when they're not in a rush and pissed off, excuse my language. And then number three, you're not going to have any competition because your competition is sitting at home watching football. Right? You want to break into this business. Your Saturday and Sunday now becomes your Monday and Tuesday. And the people but Brendan, my kids, get rid of them. You don't need them any. No, I'm just kidding, right? You got to figure out how to do certain things with your kids and your wife to make sure they don't kill you, but you can figure it out. I can tell you the best part about winter is it better to go to Vail and ski and snowboard on Monday and Tuesday than Saturday and Sunday? Absolutely it is. You just have to be willing to do these little changes that others won't do and get out of your way. Cool. Great question. Yeah. All right. So next step. So the next step here is now, and we're going to make sure that this is powerful, is you need to go into, whoops, that was not it. Well, scripts. So it's going to be systems, schedules, scripts, and practice. I just call it the 3 S's, right? Systems, schedule, and scripts. Now, when I say scripts, people are like, ugh. I just think of scripts as practice. Practice, practice, practice. You have to have script practice, role play practice. Can you go and make expired calls for sell by owner calls, just sold calls, just listed calls, all of these calls? Yes. Yes, you can. If you're not practiced, are you going to feel defeated pretty quickly? Depending on your level of pain tolerance, yes, you will feel defeated pretty quickly. So you need to practice at the highest level. So here's what I want you to do. Whether you have a listing presentation right now or not, if you don't, create one. If you don't know where to start, we offer the complete listing system. Go to brendanbartic.com and we'll put a link in here. Use ours. It works. Okay. We know it to work, or know it that it works. I've taken thousands of listings with it. All right. So you have to start with a system first. Once you have that practice one built, then you need to practice with it. And I'm talking the entire presentation, the CMA, the estimated net sheets, the value proposition, sample marketing, the little pin, the little note card. All of this is set to be perfection. So when you know how to utilize it at the highest level, you don't only walk into the appointment and with confidence, you leave with them going, where do I sign? And here's the key for the lockbox. Instead of, am I going to make it? Like, what's going to happen? I hope they don't ask me about commission. I'm really nervous. Just as long as they don't ask about commission, I'm okay. Right? Screw that. You want to come in going, I charge this because I'm a badass. Here's where you sign. What's up? That doesn't happen without practice. Okay. Now, some tips in practicing. Okay. Number one, have a practice presentation. Number two, role play daily with the mirror, your girlfriend, your husband, Fido, Scruffy, whoever it is. You got to practice it every single day, right? If I were telling you that I was going to give you the opportunity to have $1 million job, do you think there'd be some practice that's going to go into that? That's what people don't want to do. They want a $50,000 job and wing it. And then therefore, that's why you make that kind of money, okay? Next one, I need you to video your presentation and email it to me. You're like, wait, what? Yeah, just set your phone next to your tissues where you just cried from your call session and set it up right next to your tissue box, hit the record button and go through your presentation, record it, send it to me, and I'll help you critique it. Free of charge, no problem, right? Send it to your buddy, send it to your broker, send it to your team leader, your accountability partner. You can't learn if you don't watch it. The first thing, and again, people that know me, I'm trying to learn how to play golf right now, and it's the worst. I literally want to kill myself every time I go. I'm that angry about it. It's the worst. But if they don't film me with my swing and I literally look like the worst swing on earth, I can't fix it. I can't fix it because if I don't see what I'm doing wrong, then how can I get better? All right, so you have to video it. You need to record your scripts and dialogues and play them in the car or before you go to bed every single day. In the history of real estate, and I've been doing this a long time, there's 50 common objections, 50 that you're ever going to hear unless there's some bizarre, rare ones that I don't know about. Just think about it. If you had an educated response that led towards a signature for all 50 that were brainwashed into your beautiful mind, and they just spit out whenever you heard them, again, Pavlov's dogs, this little bell rings and you go, and this objection handler comes out like beautiful poetry, you're going to get more signatures. But not if you don't brainwash yourself. You have to know it inside and out, and it has to come out with bravado and confidence where you're just like, boom, mic drop, boom, mic drop, every time, okay? So you got to record it on your phone, all right? And then lastly, you need to go on as many appointments as possible. Don't be afraid to suck, right? Go out there. I hope you get every single one, but no one has a perfect record. People aren't going to like you. There's going to be all kind of random things. It's a numbers game. I just need to know that if I go on X amount of appointments and I step up to bat X amount of times, eventually I'm going to hit the ball, or I'm at least going to get hit by the ball. One of those two things is going to happen, right? And either one I'm okay with. I'm either going to get a walk or I'm going to get a hit and it's going to go all the way out of the park. I'll take either, right? I'll limp into the first listing if I have to. But you're not going to get that opportunity if you don't get in front of people. So in thinking about this, the thought that I want to make sure that we're crystal clear on is anyone can do this. I tell this all the time. I have a GED. I didn't go to college. I can, well, you saw my drawing. I'm no artist by any measure of the I can barely spell. It took me a minute to think about how to spell dial so I didn't sound stupid. But I make millions of dollars doing this business because I learned early on that those principles, systems, schedule, and scripts in practice, script dialogues, can make me have the kind of money that can change lives, that can change my life, the charities that I'm involved in, the people that I'm around. It's that simple, but you just have to make sure that you start the sequence and you're dedicated to doing it daily, right? Buyers are okay. Let me make sure I get this clear. I'm not saying today to just say, I'm not working with buyers anymore. I'm just saying that, would you rather work 100 hours to close one deal or 15? It all comes back to 100 hours or 15. And the rest is just limited beliefs. So I appreciate you joining me. I hope that gave you some insight. In our 6-part series, again, next series is going to be on how to find the best listing sources, what to say to them, how to make sure that those are effective conversations. We'll put all that out. If you're not on our Facebook group page, that's where you can find out all this schedule. It's Brendan Bartic Real Estate Coaching. Come join us on there. Take part in our morning mastery. So we still have 3 more days left. We're giving away an iWatch. All you have to do, a brand new one in the box. It's beautiful. All you have to do is from the morning hours of 5 to 6, post you doing one activity of that morning mastery. We'll have the drawing this Friday. Win an Apple Watch. Give it to someone you care about or use it for yourself. And I think I covered everything. And anything else? As always, I wish you guys great success. I'll stay around for the next 7 minutes to answer any questions on any subject that you have about real estate. But again, I'm honored that you joined me this morning, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. So we do have a couple of questions, Brendan, that kind of came through in the chat box. The number one is, what is the recommended dialer? What's the system that your team uses?
Mojo. Yeah, we utilize Mojo. We found that Mojo's dialing technology was of a higher quality than Vulcan 7 and the Red X, because the Mojo started as a dialer and then added data later. So they were a national company that used triple line dialing. When we say triple line dialers, you can have a single line dialer, a 2-line dialer, or a triple line dialer. All that means for those people that aren't comfortable with this is it's just calling 3 phone numbers at the same time. And when it's dialing those numbers, if somebody doesn't, or if I'm on the phone and it calls somebody and they answer the phone, you have a pre-recorded message that goes, hello, can you hear me? And they think they have a bad connection and it hangs up on them. I know you're all going, oh, right? It hangs up on them. Then it holds them in queue until you're off the phone with the next person, redials them, and then it gets you connected with them. So it's a time saver. It's not people. I say triple line dialer, like, how do you talk to 3 people at once? No, it's just queuing 3 people. It's queuing 3 people. And then you can leave automated voicemails. So when they don't answer the phone on the dialer, you don't have to sit there 1,000 times and go, hey, this is Brendan. I just sold this home at 123 Elm Street. I was calling because I have a client that's interested in buying your house. Can you please give me a call back? I don't want to have to say that 45 times a day. I do it once in the pre-recorded message and it drops for me every single time. Think about how powerful that is for inviting people to your open house, right? Think if you could burn through the entire neighborhood of the listing you just took or the listing that you're hosting your first open house at for another agent, if you could leave 500 voice messages inviting them to your open house to come judge the property, do you think you'd have more people show up at your open house? Yes, you would. Absolutely. If you take your open house and tie it into a charity event, so not only do I want you to come judge it, but because it's almost Veterans Day is tomorrow, we're actually doing a clothing drive for the veterans. I'll be at this property from the hours of 12 to 3. I'd love you to bring by any coats that you didn't want or that you wanted to donate. I'll make sure they get into the right hands.
Perfect. So when we talk about these FSBO calls, the expired calls, is there any spacing between when you call? Or if I come in on Monday and start making expired calls, do I make the exact same calls to the exact same people the next day? Or do I let them cool off for 24 hours? Talk about the tempo of that.
Love it. Yeah, great question. Yeah. So the tempo is be first or you're last. So you want to call that morning. The pros are calling at noon and 5 o'clock, or excuse me, 5 to 6 o'clock at night. I'm trying them 3 times in the course of that day. You're never going to, here's the best way to analogy this. You're never going to not call an expired enough. You're never going to not call them enough. Yeah, just make sure that makes sense, right? The expired is going to be like, holy mackerel, that person really is interested in selling my house. Instead of, I called them once, I went and had some coffee. They never called me back. Weird. So I guess I'll just stop calling expireds. That wasn't for me, right? No, it is quantity. That's why you have to have these systems in place. So then the next day they don't answer. So here's my regimen: 3 times in one day, then every single day for 6 days, then every single week until I die. Let me say that again. 3 times the first day, every day for 6 days, every week until I die. Right now, over the course of old expireds, I haven't looked as of today, but some of the people on here might know, in any metro area, there's probably 550 to 600 old expireds in the system, meaning that they're still in there. They haven't relisted. They're up for grabs, ready to rock and roll, right? If you're wanting to get into this game, the best call you can make is that just sold call. It's what we call a confidence builder. You make that just sold call, it is a confidence builder to get you on the phones, get used to, some people are going to be like, oh my gosh, yeah. And some people are going to be like, screw you, right? And it'll give you that confidence to get on there. If you go and make expired calls tomorrow and you're not scripted and you're not ready and you don't have your objections, I don't want it to turn you off. I see people get so shut off by it because it would be the same thing. It would be like me trying to go against a major league pitcher in the major leagues and try to hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. I'm not going to do it. It's not humanly possible because I haven't practiced enough at hitting that. But I can go play softball with my homies in the rec league. That's what just solds are. Softball for the rec league, it's probably more like T-ball. Just solds are T-ball. The ball's already sitting there. You just got to freaking hit the phone. Okay.
Dee, this is your question, so I'm going to read it aloud, but I'd love for you to hop off mute and just kind of provide some context to the question. Brendan, would you use artificial intelligence data? And if so, how?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so there's so many different zip code analyzers. If you're targeting and you want to do direct mail, and that was one of the ones that I stated on there, if you're targeting an exact area with predictive analytics on who's the most likely to sell, I've masterminded with a lot of agents across the country. You can do it. It's extremely expensive and it takes a long time. Right? So just like anything, you're going to be mailing to a very specific area using analytics that say this person's more likely to move because of this amount of equity in the house. They're of this age. They can also find out sometimes if they've gotten a divorce or whatever it is. So yes, does that data help? But you have to really, really have an executable strategy of direct mail. Then you're going to want to follow up that strategy with phone calls. Then you're going to still need a CRM and a dialer because you're going to have such a surplus of people in that system. My experience has been it's easier just to stay consistent. So when we think about our Mets and haven't Mets, my haven't met bucket is a targeted group that I'm going to mail to once a month, 12 times a year, and I'm going to try to build some sense of loyalty. I'm also going to phone call them because I have the technology to do it. All I'm trying to do is get that person to raise their hand and say, I'm kind of interested, maybe yes, whatever possible. Then I move them over to my Met bucket, who then goes into my very specific direct mail where they're going to receive 33 touches minimum per year. that is then going to help me produce one transaction, one referral, and build a client for life out of that bucket. I see a lot of people spend a ton of money on haven't mets. And you can do that if you have a lot of money to start out your business with. And even now, you can do it if you're a senior in your business and you're making tons of money. But it's a very hard play when you have so many other resources that you could be utilizing that money for. I'd rather have a traction where they're coming to me instead of me trying to hope that an algorithm that I'm mailing to is going to pay off based upon that algorithm. So that was a really weird answer. The answer is yes, it works if you have a lot of money and a lot of time.
Perfect. And then the other thing is, as far as CRM, what CRM are you using? Do you use Command, or kind of what are the pros and cons of the current CRM that you're using?
Absolutely, yes. So I'll make a testimonial here of what you should be utilizing. Okay. So we use Real Geeks. So Real Geeks, we've been using for the last, I think, 10 to 12 years. Agents across the country use it that are doing, 3,000, 5,000 units plus a year. It's very team friendly. It has built-in text messaging, built-in email campaigns, the IDX technology and the interface for the user to be able to search properties. The forced registration is amazing. That's what we use. Caveat, just like everything, it takes a lot of customization to build it out to make it to become. When I bought it, it was probably a Volkswagen Beetle. Now, in my opinion, it's a Ferrari, but it took a long time to make that Beetle a Ferrari, right? If you want to bypass that build process, Boomtown is a Ferrari that's there right now, but you're going to pay Ferrari prices. It's $2,500 a month to start with at minimum. So that's what I'm saying. It's a Ferrari already there. So that's the other. And then the third would be, depending on what company you're with, your internal systems CRM. So if you're at, again, a Keller Williams, there's Command. I know that Remax has a system. Some other companies have a system. There's nothing wrong with those systems whatsoever. They're fantastic, and they're getting better every day because they realize that data was everything. So they've made the pivot to make sure that the way that they're organizing all of these things is where it needs to be. Sorry, I was just making sure I wasn't late for something. I'm good. They were just making sure that all these, that the companies, if you control the data, you control everything. So that would be the order of how I would do it, is either Real Geeks or Boomtown, then whatever your company's service provider is, because it's probably very good at this point. It's free, or you're paying it in some sort of monthly fee or through your commission. There's no heaven sent of all systems. They take work, they take input. There's no person that's like, man, I sure like putting in data. That's super fun. No, it sucks, right? But you have to do it because the game is data.
Love it. So when we talk about the dialer through Real Geeks, Real Geeks, right? Or RedX.
Yeah, RedX. Okay.
Yeah. So do they rotate the numbers, or do they use your exact phone number as you're calling people?
Great question. Yes. So I always use my own phone number. I never used a Google Voice number. I never wanted to have any delay of somebody being able to reach me. Right? So either you create a secondary phone number and phone just for lead generation and keep it with you all the time. I do personally feel that a Google Voice number is terrible. I think if you have any delay or people hear anything weird in connecting, I also think that if you're not using your personal phone number, it makes it harder. Sometimes it'll block it, and you'll get blocked by certain people's phone systems because, again, they can kind of see that you're trying to screen out the ability to connect with someone. So that's a great point. I would, as always, I would use my phone number, or if you're calling from your office, you can do that. You just have to make sure if you call an expired and they just see the number come up, even though they don't listen to your message, they're going to call it back. Can they get to you instantly? You would want that. The other thing I see agents screw up all the time is you don't have a phone number with the zip or area code that's in the area you're calling. Do I want to work with an agent with a 415 zip code or area code if I'm in the 303 or 720? No, I don't want to know that you moved from Kentucky. I don't care about that you're from Kentucky. I want somebody from here that's lived there their whole life, that's a specialist, and that I know is going to have specialties in my neighborhood. So everything is a matter of presentation. Okay. Everything, your profiles online have to present you in a way that makes the people believe you've been doing this a long time. And I'm not telling you to lie, it's just phrasing. Okay, it's just phrasing of how you do things. No one cares that you were a teacher. No one cares that you used to work in the nonprofit segment. No one cares. You think that they care. They care that you know how to sell houses at a high level and you know their neighborhood and area. Otherwise, why am I having you come over? What else?
Perfect. So we've got a couple other questions, like thoughts on contacting people going through a divorce. And then I'm going to couple that so you can answer this in tandem. How do I choose a not met group?
Oh, okay. So first question was, should I call divorced people? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So what you should do is you should call divorce attorneys and create a system for divorce attorneys to be their preferred real estate agent when they need to refer someone to you. The way that you build that relationship is you create a packet, a value packet that divorce attorneys can hand out to people that are recently getting divorced that covers everything about the divorced separation process. So not just selling, this could be counseling, this could be anything, childcare, things that how it affects psychologists. You're going to put together a packet that's so valuable that the attorney goes, wow, you made my life a lot easier. And then in there, you're going to have a little page that says, if you need some questions about selling your house, I specialize in separation parties. I'd be more than happy to help or provide you both with a free market analysis. So yes, you want to sell to as many divorced people as humanly possible. Okay. Second question was, I'm sorry, I forgot.
How do you choose a haven't met group to target?
Yes. So haven't met group is simple. It depends on where your strengths lie and what that, number one, you want to have a target group that you believe is going to have high turnover, right? So if you're focusing on a neighborhood, you need to make sure that that turnover rate in that neighborhood is 6% or higher, meaning on an annual basis, 6% of that neighborhood sells every single year. So just think about this. If you had a neighborhood with 100 houses, you would go back and look at 2019. During the course of 2019, out of those 100 houses, did 6 or more of those houses sell? If it has less than that, don't go near it, right? It's just not worth your time. You really want to be in that sweet 10% area. So on people that I work with, people on my team, we focus on very high turnover areas and make sure we're doing that. The second target group that you could have is expireds. That's a target group. You can build an entire real estate business just around expireds. Guaranteed. I've seen it done 100 times over. So that target group every single month or week or your 1x12 or whatever it is built around mailing to people that are expired listings, but in the format of your entire marketing campaign is now based that you are an expired specialist, right? So I'm the expired specialist. Once you sell one, you're going to be like, I just sold this one for X amount. It was on the market for 6 months, didn't sell. Then I sold it. Once you start gaining momentum, then you're going to start targeting it. I used to work with an agent, and this will show how old I am. I was actually at a Coldwell Banker. I used to work at Coldwell Banker, and his name was Rick Parlante. And Rick, every single day, would mail out this 8.5 by 11 envelope. It would have a VHS tape in it, swear to God, VHS tape. It would have all of his marketing material, everything he would do. And it would talk about, the VHS tape would talk about how he gets your house sold for the most money possible with you being an expired. And he would have these crates of expireds. And this was during a high expired time. Just think about it. In our area, there's 30 to 35 a day, every single day. I think there was something like 75 to 100 during this time. So he'd have these huge crates of mail. I asked him, I think they cost him $7 per piece. So he was so confident in that system that he goes, look, even though there's $7 per piece for the VHS tape, the mailing, the stamps, the postage and all of that, if I'm sending out X amount of day, let's just say that he was sending out 100, he's spending $700 a day. He was taking at least one listing every other day. So think about that. If he's taking, let's just make it easy numbers, 3 a week, he's taking 12 listings a week. Let's just say average sales price of that listing, he made $10,000 on. He's making $120,000 a month, and he's spending whatever he was on the actual marketing, which I guarantee you didn't equal out $120,000 a month. So do you see the strategy? It just depends on what you're trying to do and then backing out the numbers. The hard part is if you're new in real estate, you're going, I don't have that kind of money to spend on this. Then you have to do the sweat equity, which is call, door knock, open house. Call, door knock, open house. Then you get a little bit of the monies. Every check you get, 10% of that goes to you buying and developing these systems. You make 10 grand, $1,000 goes to developing my systems. And when I say systems, you are a system. So you might need to upgrade your shirt, your face, your shoes. You might need to upgrade all kinds of things because that's probably going to be the biggest impact on a client more than anything else. Okay?
Note to self, fix the face.
Upgrade your face, people. Upgrade the face.
So walk me through this process. I see an expired every day. I see the homeowner. I go to Fast People Search to get their phone number. It's a painstaking process. Ooh. Should I be doing that process any differently?
If you don't want to pay for a dialer, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Or if there is a dialer, is it worth the money because that process is so laborious?
Of course it is. $150 a month instead of you taking 2 hours a day to source data. I mean, if you divide the 150 by 30 days or however many days you're going to work, 20 days, it becomes very economical for use of time, right? But if, again, you're dead broke, and I was there. I left the Army with $98 to my name. I didn't have squat. And so, again, if you're doing it, I respect it. I did the same thing. We used to do it old school. So we would, they didn't even have True People Search. They had 411.com reverse address search, right? At the time, or yellowpages.com, I think it was. They still have it today. And yes, I would go through one by one and do it every single morning. But that day started at 5 a.m. I wasn't starting the data search at 7:30. That's the difference. People will start the data search at 7:30, don't hit the phones till 8:45. All those people have already been called. You just reduced your opportunity by 50%. You still have opportunity. That doesn't mean don't do it. Here's another thing I saw. If agents miss the 7:30 window, they're like, expires are done today. Yeah, that's over for me. I'm not even going to give them a shot. I missed that window. No, I'm not saying that. You still just saw that graph, 5 to 15. That's where you make your money. Yum, 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 yum. 5 to 15. That's where that money lives.
Love it. So I think that's the end of the questions in the chat box, but I'll hang out for a few more moments. If someone wants to hang out and have a couple of questions, I'll also put our email addresses in the chat box. So if you want to reach out to us offline, we'll make ourselves available as well. And be sure to join us next week for the next part of the 6-part series.
Yeah. And also, thank you guys. Anything I can ever do, we're always here for a resource. I was right where you were at some point, guaranteed. And some of you are past where I'm at. But at some point, you've got to make the decision. I want to control my time and I want to control my life. And listings do that. So love you guys. Have a great day. Call me if you need anything.